I was once known as the Lawnmower Man. What's happening? It's Erik J. Olson. I say that kind of in jest because no one actually ever called me the Lawnmower Man, but it was the title of a movie many, many years ago. If you haven't seen it, it's actually pretty cool. Well, I won't go into what it's about, but when I was a kid, I would cut grass. So this, okay, like this is story time. All right, I want to tell you a story, and there's a reason I'm going to tell you the story, and it relates to business. When I was a kid, my parents allowed me to borrow the family lawnmower. And, after I cut our grass for free, I would go knock on people's doors and I would cut their grass for a fee. Now, we lived in a townhouse association. We happened to live on the end unit. And so I would cut the front, and there was a little bit of side that I would cut, and then I'd go immediately to the backyard and cut the backyard. And it was pretty easy actually. So I would go a couple of doors down and I would knock on the door. And, by the way, like it was really, really easy for me to get work at this point, which is interesting because I don't think adults are used to like knocking on the door and asking if they can work for someone. It's kind of, frankly, beneath us. But as a teenage boy, it wasn't beneath me at all. So I'd knock on the door and say, "Would you like your grass cut?" And they say, "Yes, how much?" And I would tell them whatever the price was. And at first, I was like, "This is great." But what I realized very quickly was that it was much faster for me to cut my end unit than to cut the other interior units of a row of townhouses. And here's why. I would cut, I knock on the door, they say, "Yeah, cut it." I'd go cut the front grass and then I'd push the mower all the way to the end, around the side, around the back, and then I would have to cut their backyard. So that transit time started to add up, especially so when I would go to the back and the gate was locked and I couldn't get in and I had to walk around the front again, knock on the door and say, "Hey, can you open the back gate, please?" And then I have to walk around to the back once more, open the gate, and then cut the backyard, and then go back around again when I was done to collect my money. And so I was wasting a lot of time. There were inefficiencies. And so, okay, here's how it relates to business today. A lot of times you will find that your processes get inefficient or you're just getting weighed down. There's It's just taking longer than you expect. And this usually happens like as you start to do this, some sort of work for more than just one client. With one client, it's like easy, no big deal. But once you have more and more clients, like it really starts to kind of add up and the volume of work can be more than you anticipated. And that's what was happening with me when I was cutting lawns. The volume of time that it would take to cut was much higher than I had originally estimated when it was just me and my end unit. And I just, thought it was going to be the same for every unit. It wasn't. When you're in that situation, what do you do? Now, I could have just said, "Oh, well, the going price is the going price." And I could have just worked myself to death. That would have been an option. But even as a teenage boy, I knew that wasn't a great option. Unfortunately, a lot of business owners now, when they're grown up, will say, "Oh, well, the market price is the market price. I guess we have to lower our price." Wrong. There's better things you can do. So even then, I knew that wasn't the right answer. And what I decided to do was raise my price. So I raised my price, not for the existing customers, but for the new customers. So I still took the hit with the old customers. They were grandfathered in, but the new customers, they had to pay a higher price. And I think I went from $7 to $10. And I was kind of nervous about it the first time, but lo and behold, they said, "Sure, no problem." And so I immediately gave myself a $3 raise on $7. I mean, that's pretty close to 50%. Not too shabby. So when you find that the volume of work or the volume of time is just adding up to more than you anticipated, you have options. You do not have to say, "Oh, well, it is what it is." You can raise your price. If you raise your price, now you have lots of options. I didn't do this, but I could have hired someone to help me, right? I could have gotten a second lawnmower and had a buddy cut the back while I cut the front. Boom, all of a sudden, now we have efficiencies, right? But I couldn't do that unless I charged more. And so by charging more, now you have options. For here, For us here at Array Digital and Rival Digital, that comes in the way of hiring more people and getting tools that will help us be more efficient. By raising our prices periodically, we have the financial wherewithal to do better and faster work. And that's what I want you to think about. All right. So when you find that you're getting bogged down and you feel like you're stuck, remember there's always an option to raise your price. And with the extra revenue, you have even more options at your disposal. Hey there, it's Erik J. Olson. I wanted to let you know about my book, $1,000,000 Journey: How to Launch a Seven-Figure Business. This is the story of what it took for me to go from freelancer with no clients, no employees, no revenue, to growing a $1,000,000 business. It took me 8 years and I made a lot of mistakes. And all of those mistakes, and more importantly, lessons learned, are in this book. And we have chapter takeaways, 5 to 15 takeaways that you could apply right now to your business. Check it out on Amazon, $1,000,000 Journey by me, Erik J. Olson.